Okay, so this is what they did in 2008. This is what they set up as part of the so called economic bailout of 2008 in order to try to work the psyop on us now. And that's another reason why we have a biological warfare campaign going on without it being acknowledged as such. Because when they ended up having to offer all of the economic recovery to the big banks, what they had to do is provide them with insurance, and they had to pay it off. They needed to get insurance for covering up the fact that they had spent, at least since the late 80s, that entire time stealing from us and getting cover of the federal appropriations process, which I believe there's multiple pieces of evidence that substantiate that claim based upon actual members of Congress in the Senate, or rather, former members of Congress in the Senate. And so by the time the 2008 banking crisis happened and the 2008 economic crisis happened, they had to find a way to get insurance to cover up the fact that their theft and fraud and trafficking and illegal debt and actual peonage of people in not only the United States but around the world had accrued. That's what I just explained. When you commit fraud and you get away with it, something somewhere understands that there was something that did not comply. And that is a form of liability. That liability accrues. And if it's not corrected for, the question is, what do you do with it? Do you forgive it? Do you write it off? Or, in a case where they're intentionally leveraging getting away with fraud, then you leverage the fraud. And you allow it to accrue so you have greater leverage. And if you've infiltrated the government, and if you've infiltrated corporate structures that have decision making regarding product development, including weapons, including biological weapons, including electronic weapons, then you can get access to that leverage for yourself. You can simulate other market crashes or micro crashes. You can use directed energy weapons against your opposition. You can intentionally trash their dealings and their stock base so that you can try to compel dumps. You can literally kidnap them and traffic them and subject them to psychological operations in order to get them to compel and concede. And you can deny them legal representation and come up with a completely fabricated story that when they represent themselves pro se, well, it wasn't theirs. Somebody else was programming them. Or somebody else was allowing something to be laundered through them. And because it was laundered through them and was connected to something laundered from somebody else, they're not actually capable of doing that. So even their legal filings and even their efforts at due process representing themselves, well, that wasn't theirs. No, that's not what it is. What it is proof that originally, whatever they claimed they were entitled to in 2008 was fraudulent. They robbed the people. They got the government to go along with giving them insurance. And now they want to pay off their insurance claims using our lives again. So I understand what you did overnight. I felt it. And so apparently it is, well, whatever happened in the last 10 years isn't really you. And I keep hearing this. This is the mantra you've been having for a while now. It's not who you are. It's not who you are. Oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God, I got a beautiful and golden and young blonde girl. It's not who you are. And see, the problem is, honey, they made you into a succubus. So you're only going to be around for 5 to 10 years. And as soon as you get depressed, they're going to start feeding you junk food. When you get fat, you're out. Right? It's not who you are. It's not who you are. You mean like when I licked you when I was dropping off my legal filing and I made that notation out loud and said that what just happened was completely unacceptable? And I told them that I was going to get them for that? It's not who you are. It's not who you are. Actually, you already have the video footage of me on site submitting that legal filing. You already have the footage in the lobby of what those guards were doing while I was walking in. And in the back encoding of all of that footage, you're going to see when and how they spliced in that pornographic image of me represented in one manner and her represented in another manner, where presumably I was supposed to acknowledge her authority. Is that what you want, honey? Do you want me to acknowledge who I actually am? Because as far as you're concerned, who I am is that Texas lawyer that acknowledged your authority. Get over it. You need to get right. I'm sorry. If you're too young to have lived through that, I understand. But you know what? I was probably around the age you're claiming that you want to get off from being held culpable for when the whole SNL crisis happened. And unfortunately, I'm in Dallas. There's no real reason for me to be in Dallas. Or is there? Why were people in Dallas expecting that 35 years later they were going to traffic my ass down here so that you and that profile of you could say, that's not who you are? Apparently, it's exactly who I am. It took a while for me to find it. You're not going to be able to cover that up again, and you're not going to be able to get away with saying it's not who I am. Apparently, there's a lot of other things that I am. So I want to thank you, because what you really mean is actually there's all this other stuff that's actually about you. And actually, there's all this other stuff that should be attributed to you and that you should be able to share with people. And there's all of these other people that you're actually among and that you're actually a part of in terms of community and in terms of actual attempts to build justice. And that's who you are. And we don't want you to sell yourself short. Thank you so much.